think we left off from part 1 for this Comic Corner, which is episode 2201, Doubleshot 2095. We're talking about Avengers Epic Collection, Crossing the Line. Yep. This actually is volume 20 of the Epic Collection. Avengers is collected issues 319 to 333 and 19, and material from Captain America number 9, Iron Man number 11, Thor annual 15, West Coast Avengers annual number 5. The annuals, they're basically part of the Terminus directive. It's basically it's basically like a, let's see, one, two, yeah, it's a 5-part crossover involving the Avengers versus this alien creature for this 5-part story. Yeah. Oh, by the way, here are your raters of this book. Fabian Caesar, Mark Greenwald, Roy Thomas, Dan Thomas, Larry Hama, Dwayne McDuffie, Kurt Busick, and Gary Burnham. Our work is done by Paul Ryan, James Fry, Rick Livens, Jim Valentino, which I think he left Marvel not long after these issues were released to form an Image. Tom Morgan, Herb Temple, Jim Reddick, Brad Vinica, Mickey Ritter, Vince Malcreek, Richard Howell, and Steve Buccellato. The front cover is the covers are basically by Paul Ryan and Tom Palmer. The crossing itself, which is called Crossing the Line, that's where it comes from. It takes issues 319 to 324. Yeah. It's a 6-part storyline involving Avengers being tasked by the United Nations to look for this missing sub, which is taken by this terrorist group. And, of course, the lead of the will be familiar with the Russians. This is, of course, Soviet Union so on, so they had a Russian superhero group coming to help them. And then, of course, their mission gets dragged to frickin' Canada, which involves Alpha Flight. Yes, Alpha Flight of all beings. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's actually a really good story arc. Mm-hmm. It's known as the People's Protectorate, and this is the group's debut. Yep. And just a few members here. The Red Guardian, who is not the original Guardian. No, this is actually a different one. He's been dead since Darkstar Winter Guard number 2. Yeah. There's also Ballstack, who is basically like a character who was actually killed off just fairly recently, like last year. Mark Greenwald character. There's also Pyrin, who he himself is no longer part of the Winter Guard. He's basically like an old god. There's also Fantasia. Yeah, apparently he's like Darkstar, Winter Guard, and Airstrike, who is formerly the Crimson Dynamo. Yep. And he's actually the oldest of all these characters. He's actually still around, and he's currently part of the Winter Guard right now. Mm-hmm. While everyone else is deceased, he's dealing with stuff to life in this group. Yeah, so I gotta say, this opening story was actually just really good. And who wrote this story? Fabian Caesar. Yeah, he wrote this entire 6-part story. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta say, this is just pure fun. Mm-hmm. Of course, right afterwards, the Alpha Flight will return to their own book right afterwards. Yes. And then, of course, with 325, we have a party for Cersei. Yep. You're thinking, really? Yeah, really. Let's also hear Quasar, him becoming sort of part of a security firm. I do like 325 for a standalone aspect. And then, of course, moving to the Terminus Factor. That's what it's called. And like I mentioned, it mostly seems like it's an Iron Man-centric story, but involves the other members of the Avengers. But this wrapped up. It's wrapped up with Avengers number 19. Which this annual itself would also have the epilogue to not only to this story, but also to Acts of Vengeance, which Mark Graham wrote that one. Beat Me in St. Louis, that's the finale for this story. And that's a Roy Thomas one. Media Watch, by McDuffie. And Days of Strangers, by Kurt Busiek. Yep, so it wraps up this. I've kind of discussed before, it's a really good crossover. And of course, the Acts of Vengeance epilogue, which I think is not exactly the very next story, but it is there. Then we have Days Ranger come. It's mostly just a boy who's a fan of superheroes, who has to stop his brother from killing somebody, and he had to throw himself away. And other stuff happened here. And I move on to 326, which is the debut of Rage. Also, this book at this period of time had this thing where anyone who's a member of the team at this point in time had their name on top of the logo. This issue had Captain America, Thor, Cersei, Vision, Scarlet Witch. Yeah, that's your lineup for this issue here. The lineup would change. And also, Fate of the Season would stop being the writer at this point in time. We have Larry Hama to go over. Yeah, by the way, 325, Stanley issue by Mark Greenwald. And then we have Larry Hama to go to the book. Now, you might be curious, though. How long did Larry Hama write this book for? It came on 326, and he was there until 533 is pretty much when he wrapped up his run for the book. Yeah, it's a very short run. It's like basically, the best way to describe this run, it's like, okay, so we're meeting the character Rage, and then we're going to do this with Doctor Doom later on in the story. I got handed this particular mini run that he did for the book. It's actually really good. I like to also explore Rage's backstory, and he becomes sort of a personal member of the team during this period of time. And Iron Man just here as a guest star. Yes, he's a guest star in Avengers. Probably because basically they don't feature heavily in the book, so he's just a guest star in Avengers. So, Rage, of course, basically is origin story told in 328. And then, I think it's the cover 329 is when everything changes. Yeah, 329. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to announce a new Team Avengers. Yeah. It's basically they'll be regular main members and there'll be reserve members of the team. So they'll basically have all the people who've been Avengers at this point in time, most of them anyways, except for a few. Of ones still alive at this point in time. Now, here's your lineup at this point. Now, the West Coast Avengers are not here. Excuse me. They actually were not formed yet. Actually, they were formed, but they were not here. So, people who have this issue are the Black Knight, Monica Rambeau, Hank Pym, who's retired at this point in time, Hercules, I think the redhead is supposed to be Wasp, Wonder Man, Quicksilver, Namor, Cersei, oh yeah, Hawkeye is here, Mockingbird, Tigra, Iron Man, She-Hulk, U.S. Agent, Quasar, Black Widow, Spider-Man. Yes, he was Avenger at this point in time, not a regular member. He was a reservist. He never was a full-time member of the team. And we have Vision and Falcon. So they have basically decided to do bylaws, so they'll be folded. So, after some decision making, and then they go into the lineup. The main lineup will be made up of Thor, Cersei, Quasar, She-Hulk, Vision, Black Widow, and himself, Captain America. The reservists are going to be made up of Spider-Man, Black Knight, Falcon, Hercules, Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and two more. Who are they? Rage and Flint Marko the Sandman. Yes, Flint Marko joined the Avengers. Yeah, this is during a period of time where he was reformed, and he was the explanation. Wait, is he a criminal? And like, yeah, he and of course asked the course, is he a criminal? He's like, not anymore. He's completely rehabilitated, and he has a presidential pardon, and that's good enough for Nixon. It's good enough for the Sandman. Yeah, he got pardoned for his crimes. And plus, I think also, not long after this, he would then basically, I think in just a couple years, he become part of the short-lived Silver Sable title. Yeah, Silver Sable had a brief ongoing series in the 90s called Silver Sable and Wild Pack. Yeah, he was part of Wild Pack. And then by the 2000s, he was back main villain. Don't know why. I actually like this whole idea of him being I really wish I was reading comics at this point, because I would love to see people's reaction to seeing, oh, the Sandman is a good guy. And by the way, we don't get Spider-Man's reactions very much. Like, he's there. But there's not much reaction, so he joins the team as a reservist. Then we have the Avengers go off to space. The thing of entropy, which that goes on for a few issues. I like the whole idea of them fighting aliens for their first mission of this new lineup. And look, here's Spider-Man and Sandman. It's next to each other. Now you might be thinking, did Spider-Man know about the President's pardon? Yes, he already knew about this. Just part of this pages of his own book. Amazing Spider-Man. Thanks to the fact that Dr. Octopus started from the Sinister Six the first time he did it. The second time was back in the 90s in the pages of Spider-Man. With Eric Larson in the book briefly. Yep, and of course, detail Rage's backstory here. And then we deal with more entropy stuff. It's all wrapped up by 333. And I think only wrap up with entropy. Yeah, and then we have the next two issues where they take on Doctor Doom for a couple issues. And yeah, and you also got his position as the King of Latveria. Whatever kind of position is leader of Latveria. Usurp and you have to fight back. Plus, of course, Doctor Doom's here. Fantastic Four is here as well. Now, you might be thinking, Fantastic Four, weren't they Avengers at this point in time? Yes, they were, very briefly. They eventually joined issue 300, but they soon left not long afterwards due to the fact that they committed with the Fantastic Four. Excuse me. Only two members were at this point in time. Well, Thing joined the West Coast. Reed and Sue joined the main team. Johnny Storm surprisingly would not become Avenger until 2015. No, it was 2015. It was, it was 2015. It was right after Secret Wars became part of became Avenger. The Uncanny Avengers. Yes. Johnny Storm did. During a period of time when Marvel could publish any Fantastic Four. Yes. So, we're wrapping up here. Basically, it was a very brief run here, Avengers. And this run was really good. Not a bad issue in this batch of issues. Not really. It is sad, though, the fact he leaves after 333, and then we take over by Bob Harris. Mm-hmm. Yep, and you're curious, though, about this. How long did Bob Harris stay in the book for? Excuse me. Well, his run was... It came on 334, and he stayed till... And I'm looking at this. He stayed until 395. Yeah, so he stayed with pretty much the finale of The Crossing. That's when he finally left the book. So he was in the book for quite some time. So he was in the book for, let's see, I'd say about 4 or 5 years in the book. That's not a bad run. I reviewed most of those already, except for the Crossing issues. Yeah, the Crossing is the only thing I had not reviewed at this point in time. Yeah. But in the case of Avengers as of right now, I have reviewed for the Marvel Epic Collection for the Avengers. Basically, I reviewed a lot of them per se. Like, this one's done here, and I've I basically have reviewed as of right now for Avengers from issues 304 because because I think I reviewed this Avengers one already. So I reviewed from 304 to, and this is in a row, to 366. Yep. And also from 378 to 382. Yep. Which is interesting as far as I got with it. Yep. Yeah, so I have reviewed that far into the book. Of course, yes, I have reviewed also from I think it was 396, I think it was. Yeah, pretty much from 396 to 402. Yes. I will review The Crossing at some point in time. But this should be interesting to review at some point, yes. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. Next up is going to be Dr. Stone. And one more comic corner. And afterwards, it'll be case closed. Okay, next video. Bye.